Our first myth today actually came via request, and it revolves around the question of whether or not Jimi Hendrix was set to join Emerson, Lake and Palmer shortly before his death. This long-claimed supergroup, set to be called HELP, has circulated the music world for decades, but at its core, it simply isn't true. This rumor began shortly after Hendrix disbanded the Jimi Hendrix Experience, forming his new group, Band of Gypsies. About the same time, Greg Lake was stepping aside from King Crimson, and he was looking to form a band with Keith Emerson. Since Experience was done, the first man they looked to was drummer Mitch Mitchell, and it was due to this that the story gained its legs. During a jam together, Mitchell suggested to Lake that sometime soon they should get Hendrix in there and jam with them when he was done recording with Band of Gypsies, and they all agreed that this would be a fantastic idea. However, only a few days later, Emerson and Lake found themselves in a studio with drummer Carl Palmer, and they knew that they had found the man for their new band. A few months later, Hendrix passed away, and the story began to circulate. So yes, they once talked about jamming with Jimi Hendrix, but it never actually happened. Our second myth for today is the claim that Iggy Pop once purposefully got into a fight with a biker gang member at one of his Stooges shows and lost. If there was ever a man who loved to antagonize his audience, then it was Iggy Pop. And not only is this story completely true, but it was captured on tape. It goes all the way back to February of 1974, and the incident in question would happen on the night of what would be the last Stooges show for the better part of 30 years. For whatever reason, during a radio interview the day before the show, Iggy Pop called out a local biker gang, calling them cowards and things along those lines, and the gang in question then decided they were going to the show. All throughout the Stooges performance, gang members pelted the stage with beer and bottles and urine and eggs and whatever else they could find hanging around. But the band played through it, with Iggy loving every second of it and baiting them even more and more between every single song. Finally, at the end of the show, the band broke into what would be a 45-minute version of Louie Louie. And at one point, Iggy decided to single out one member of the biker gang, having an argument with him from the stage before he jumped off the stage to engage him in a fight. Iggy lost that fight, some might say on purpose, and a photo of him lying on the floor with blood on his face would become the cover for the official release of the album now known as Metallic KO. Crazy, but true. For our final myth today, we turn to the mighty AC/DC, and we're going to take a look at the claim that there are demo tapes in existence that feature songs from the Back in Black album, but its original frontman, Bon Scott, handling the vocals. Back in Black is a record that has a massive amount of history and lore to it, as it hit shelves less than 6 months after the tragic passing of Bon Scott, and it's also where we found out that vocalist Brian Johnson was a perfect fit for that band. The record is also largely a tribute to their fallen band member, with the album's title, the cover, and a number of songs speaking directly to this subject. And it is true that a number of songs found on Back in Black were written while Bon Scott was still alive. However, don't bother scouring the internet to try and find versions of these songs with Bon Scott on vocals, because they simply don't exist, except of course in the minds of music fanatics. While it would be great to hear Bon Scott singing on tracks like Hell's Bells or Rock and Roll Ain't Noise Pollution, this one is sadly complete myth. So those are the myths for today. Be sure to check back here every Thursday as I delve into some of the coolest stories in music history, and be here every day for all the music news, reviews, and knowledge you'll ever need.